I'm going to say right out the gate that there is absolutely no shortage of people discussing the subject matter that I am attempting to cover in my video today. So just take it with a grain of salt. And interestingly enough, that theme is sort of relevant to what I'm asking of people in general when I talk about the things I do is take things with a grain of salt. Let things roll off. Don't get defensive about any of the things that I want to say, because I do think that is a big theme of wading into these waters, is feeling like you are going to upset people or basically kick a beehive of trolls or very pressed, frustrated, and defensive people because you levied criticism against the thing that they love. Now, as the title probably implies, and as many of you probably can guess from personal experience, I'm tangentially talking about Marvel movies. I wanted to talk about fans of Marvel and what a chip they have on their shoulder. And that got me digging into why certain directors or actors have spoken out about why they think the MCU isn't cinema, or why they think that cinema is in a very bad way, and what the reactions were and what some of the pushback generally is. Most recent example of a celebrity or entertainment figure coming out and bashing the MCU was Brian Cox when he said that cinema is in a very bad way, citing Marvel, Deadpool and Wolverine, and just superhero movies in general. First of all, I will caveat and say I don't completely disagree. I do think that there is something to the opinion of what him and Scorsese have said, where at times the airwaves do seem dominated by superhero discourse in place of more traditional movies. And I don't think that's a horrible take, and I don't think that it's completely unfair. I don't think it hits the nail on the head by any means. I don't think it is even particularly nuanced, but what I don't fully understand is why fans of the MCU get so up in arms and defensive about people just airing these opinions. I actually feel like celebrities coming out and being outspoken is something of a rarity, and I think that the reason that it doesn't happen that much is, one, because generally speaking, most actors probably look at Marvel as a potential cash cow and payday for them at some point in their career. And two, I don't think anyone likes kicking the beehive of people who act like this lukewarm opinion about the industry is like an affront on them personally. It's hard to fully encapsulate the reactions to criticism of the MCU, but the only way that I feel like I can describe it is that when you attack the MCU, there's what feels like a sizable portion of the fan base that has their very identity tethered to Marvel movies, so that criticism of the thing is interpreted as a statement on their intellect. So if someone, for instance, says Marvel movies are schlock or they are popcorn fodder, that does not mean that you have to be stupid to like them. But I do think it is often interpreted as such, and any implication that Marvel movies are just not that good, or they don't consider them like artistic and art house or master classes on cinema, there really is this just chip on the shoulder that you have to worry about running into when you discuss this on the internet or even in real life. I know multiple people and have friends who know multiple people who are such fans of the MCU that criticizing it in their presence, I don't know what I would compare it that you're criticizing it to, but you might as well be criticizing something deeply personal. And there's a few things that I sort of take away from these reactions. One is that you're just too close to something, period. Straight up. If criticism of a thing upsets you so deeply, and and if it's as innocuous as superhero movies, then you're too close to it, period. I think I would say that about almost any art form if there's criticism coming from the outside looking in, or even from within, especially when people make reasonable takes about breaking down why this subjective piece of work is not good to them. And so instead of responding with, no, it's actually good because X, Y, and Z, and just lashing out, I think, one, you're just too close to it. And the other takeaway I do often think is that, two, I think a lot of Marvel fans secretly want better from the MCU. And I think that criticism that's levied against it frustrates them, in that it makes them sort of take inventory on the thing that they enjoy. And like I said, it is difficult to encapsulate exactly what that cause is, and it's very hard to discuss without essentially painting with extremely broad strokes, which, believe it or not, I'm not trying to do. But there really is something to the level of vitriol you can run into by just levying criticism towards superhero movies in 2024. Like, it's basically punching up. Marvel movies alone are something like a $30 billion industry. They have seen outstanding success. And yet, no matter how successful it is, if you are someone who criticizes, you are absolutely kicking the beehive. And that is just so crazy to me. I just don't know of any other mainstream people besides maybe, like, I don't know, Taylor Swift fans or something, where, like, if you criticize their favorite thing, they're gonna come after you, or they're gonna turn on you, or they're gonna get defensive and ad hominem and just attack you. And again, the root of it continues to be a mystery to me. But like I said, the one thing that I do think is that maybe anyone who acts this way just secretly wants better. And the reason I say that is because I think about the things that I love both just for fun and the things I love deeply. For example, something I love for fun are the Mission Impossible movies, and even though I haven't seen all of them yet, the Fast and the Furious movies. Now, I would classify these as popcorn movies. Movies that I would go to the theater, if I would see them in theaters, to just watch and have a good time, brain off, action, entertainment, no big deal. If someone comes along and criticizes these movies to me and says, man, those movies really suck, I don't know if I take that even remotely personally. I take that as someone doesn't like schlock. Someone doesn't like popcorn fodder, and that's okay. Now, if someone comes along and says, those movies are trash, I think they suck because I like more artistic movies. I like more serious movies. I don't know that I would agree with that take. I would argue that there is still artistry to a good action movie, even if it is corny, even if it is campy. There's still a level of craft that goes into keeping an audience engaged and writing things in a way that it is paced well, even if it is explosions and car races. But I don't feel like that's a reflection of me. I don't feel like that person not liking it is a reflection on me or my tastes or my intellect. And I swear that if you levied the same criticisms you might levy against any other action franchise or something like the Transformers movies, if you levy those same criticisms against the MCU, there is this, again, chip on the shoulder to lash out or argue for the artistry of why the movies are objectively good. It really is just a different vibe, for lack of a better word. And it's unfortunate because if we do not allow for conversation and certain levels of criticism, then we cannot expect more from the things that we love. And I'll speak for myself when I say that by and large, when I have ever criticized the MCU, it is because I want better. Because deep down, I am a huge fan of comic books and superheroes. I grew up playing video games with these characters. I grew up watching older movies and shows with these characters. My older brothers were huge comic book fans and basically taught me almost everything that there is to know about these characters. And yes, to see them come to life on the big screen is a spectacle, and it is very fun. But the Disney machine is deeply flawed, and there are plenty of arguments to be made that when something is so franchised and diluted down so much to the point where it really doesn't even matter who is directing the movie, because there is no fingerprints on it that show any sort of natural style because they want to keep things all the same. Those are just two completely fair arguments to levy against superhero movies. And it's unfortunate that it feels like we live in a world where we basically can't say that without kicking the bee's nest. But my conclusion is that there are haters. There are people who are just assholes about their opinions. And if you are a fan of Marvel movies, you should just let that roll off of you. Just in the same way, if someone told me the Mission Impossible movies suck, that would just roll right off me. It really doesn't matter. My identity is not so tethered to it that I feel the need to lash out or insult their tastes or take it as a reflection of everything that I like is stupid, or I must be a dummy because I like the action movie that someone else thinks is stupid. Just please get out of that mindset. And then when someone actually has like a nuanced take, or they have a certain level of respectful criticism for the thing that you like, just think about it, okay? Just please, for the love of God, just think about it and converse with them. Talk to them about it. Because if you love something and you actually do think it's good, then engage in a conversation for why you think it's good. That should be fun and exciting. Just as an example, I love Magic the Gathering, okay? I love the card game Magic. And if someone were to be like, oh, it's dumb, I would be like, no, it's really awesome, and here's why. And then if I couldn't convince them, I couldn't convince them. And that's their opinion at the end of the day. But if someone comes along and says, I don't like card games, or I don't like magic and wizards and themes of that nature, one, I could be like, hey, that's fine, and that's okay. Or two, I have a long list of reasons for why I would actually try and convince you that it's actually good. But what I would not do is skip those two thoughts and go right to attacking that person, or go right to being defensive as if them saying that this thing isn't for them is somehow translated into them saying that I'm a stupid idiot because I like that thing. If you love something, be an evangelist about it and take opportunity for people who have criticisms to, one, either debunk those, or if you haven't thought about that, just think about it. Don't just go for the throat or dismiss people because they're criticizing the thing that you think is fun. Think about it, and if it makes you not like it, then it's your worldview has changed, and guess what? You think of things differently now. Or if it bounces right off you, it bounces right off you, and congratulations, you have a deep love for that thing, and you're bulletproof, and that's great. Or if you have reasons that they should like it, and you think that they have the wrong idea, explain that, break it down. These are all just very reasonable reactions to have that don't involve acting like anyone who levies criticism about something that is external to you is a reflection of you. So I know I've made that point about like a dozen times in a dozen different ways, and my thought process hasn't always been a through line, but as of recent, I have just grown a little fatigued at oftentimes feeling like I need to tiptoe around the sensibilities of Marvel fans that I know or are online every time one of these movies hits theaters. Like, people have thoughts, people have criticisms, and when you say, oh, just let people enjoy things, no one is attempting to stop you from that enjoyment. They are criticizing the thing. You, the individual, are still allowed to enjoy it. They are criticizing that thing that's external of you. And also, not for nothing, but analyzing movies and breaking down criticism and thinking about it on a technical and structural level, and things like pacing and writing and acting guess what? That's something that people enjoy. So just the fact that you enjoyed the thing and then someone else happens to enjoy critiquing something or breaking it down or leaving a review or expressing their opinion, that's not them not letting you enjoy something. So let's also not get that mixed up, and let's choose some different words, or either engage or just not engage at all and just enjoy the thing that you love. I hope this video really does have enough through line to be made sense of, and I worded things in a way that it can all be taken in good faith. But regardless, and I hesitate to say this, but leave your thoughts in the comments if you agree or disagree, and maybe I'll make a video responding to some of those, or maybe I'll never talk about this again. Either way, thanks for watching.